So this is one telling of our story, of Dawn's story from my point of view. And it begins for me where she's this new bookkeeper at the Center for Urban Education, which is helping the nonprofit community, which is where both of us made our career. And she has this cute girl, and she lives with this other cute girl, and they have this cute little horses and all this. And I'm finding it all pretty intriguing. They're doing this Native American training, Lakota-based, with the sweat lodges and everything, and I get involved in that as well. And Dawn is the bookkeeper for Q and then later for any number of nonprofits. She's really good at her job and has a very successful career in Portland doing that kind of work. Now I'm going to go back to the beginning for Dawn's story, which was beginning in September 20th in 1953. Her mom and dad both had some military background, and Dad was more of a scary guy in some ways. He's a trucker, and Don liked to talk how he could drive with his eyes open, but he's really asleep, and other things that he could do. He had a lot of hard edges, and the first two kids, Sam and Don, sort of stayed in fear of the man, and they spent a lot of time alone together, unsupervised, sort of walking the streets of Ohio, Warren in particular, hot dog stands, stuff like that. And then Carla comes along, complete the three siblings, very wonderful. It's been extremely much my privilege to get to know this family. I never met Don's mom because she died unexpectedly just before I met her, or not long after I met Dawn. But I did get along with her dad fine. But he was old and mellow by then. When they were young, he said, "We got to pack up. We got to leave tonight." They had left all their stuff, just what they could carry. No one knows exactly why. But Barbie collection got lost, and Sam's comic books. So it was a tough childhood. And things changed. Glennie's um, married Bud. She divorced from Dawn. Bud was Eastern Airlines operations guy, had pilot background, military also. And he was much in love with Glennie's, Dawn's mom, and built this palatial place that he's still in that he had to live in alone after she died. Dawn had a wonderful time in this incarnation as a popular high school student. They role modeled as the government of the Seychelles or something like this with diplomatics, training, and so on. She married Tom, who went to Vietnam, as many did, and she fought the war at home, as many did. And things went, they went their separate ways after a while, with Alexia being their daughter. And they continued to co-parent somewhat uneasily for the rest of Dawn's life. And here we are leaving Tallahassee. I skipped the whole story where she sort of single-handedly, with her friends I should say, takes on the medical establishment. There's a lot of anti-male feeling in this. It's a feminist thing, and plus she had this terrible child abuse thing that she saw happen when she was really little in a neighbor's house. So she's soured on males by this time. She joins the Portland's pagan community and finds love and family there. And that's about where I come in, not much later than that, and we're back to my overlap. And through me, Dawn comes into contact with a whole other set of people, the Quakers in part, which are kind of scary to her at first, but eventually become very integral in her network. She has a very complicated spirituality reflected by the complexity of her community, which has continued to astound me. I love the fact of getting to be part of it. And so we go to Bhutan. This is my, I think, second trip there. My parents live there. Dad's a education planner, and mom's teaching in the schools there. And we just have a wonderful time, Alexi and I and Dawn. We go through Thailand on the way. We get married later. We'd actually become a business partnership licensed in the state of Oregon, blah, blah, before we got married. My parents had moved to Lesotho by this time. The blankets were kind of an African thing. And there's the whole family together, the two sides of our family at the wedding. Carla has Stevie by then, who is now a grown-up guy, wants to pit for NASCAR perhaps. And Don and I have Tara um, later in '94, and about 5 weeks after that, we decide to go and visit my parents. And we get involved with the Quakers there in South Africa, and that's Southern Africa, and that's a wonderful set of people there. Dawn did her labyrinth training at a yearly meeting, and that was a big hit, drawing it in the grass just outside of Lesotho in South Africa. This is actually a good thing. No one got hurt in this crash, but in 2000 we lost my dad, and my mom was severely injured in a car crash in South Africa. And meeting Dawn's friends again has been a real privilege. Lori, our neighbor to this day, and I'm still discovering, levels of her family. And Betty was very important to her. And you need to, if you haven't met her cousin Pat is a wonderful person. And Dawn and those two really enjoyed each other's company. Dawn's medical team was top notch and gave her 3 good years full of travel. I haven't talked about the Holy Wells. That was before the diagnosis, and then the trip to Glastonbury came after the first diagnosis. This is only in the final stages here, and she really put a lot of emphasis on community. Heartspark, Namaste, and Dream Quest were some of her last chapter communities, and that training gave her the ability to plan her own death and execute it exactly as she lived, in a very beautiful, artistic, and richly textured manner with lots of different traditions, lots of heritage, very Buddhist, very Quaker, very pagan, all together in one. You'd think it couldn't be done, but Dawn, you did it, and thank you for being with us for now and forever.